right, simmer down, people. So I don't know how many of you know this, but Jim has a very unique way of finding a lot of the themes for the slam. He picks often song titles. And the title of tonight's slam, Career Opportunities, is from a song by The Clash in 1977 back in England. I was there then, but I was not in The Clash. Nor did I know anybody who was in The Clash. So that time in England, actually the lines from the song sort of talk about, I don't want to work for no civil service rules. I don't want to work for the RAF. I don't want to open letter bombs. It was a pretty bleak time in England, much like most of us think that America has been in the last 3 years or 4 years. But I kind of listened to songs like that and the way the environment was, and I thought I'd better take the first job I could get my hands on. And it's what you guys call a paper route, what I called a paper round. And I'd seen American movies where the kid's riding the bicycle, like in the 50s, red bicycle, and he takes the papers and he goes like this, you know, as he's riding down the street. Except in England, because it rains all the time, we actually had to deliver them literally into the letterbox that was in the door. So you had to cycle up to every house, up every driveway, put the paper right in the door. And we used to deliver not just newspapers, but magazines and everything went with that. And had this really remarkable guy who was trying to keep some teenagers focused on delivering the right newspapers and the right magazines to the person that actually ordered them, as opposed to anybody at random that was on the route. So he had this great phrase. It's like, these guys are driving me crazy. Because he would have to go get in his car and drive and deliver the newspaper if you got the wrong newspaper. So he developed this great phrase, which I've carried around with me all my life. Find 'em and fire 'em. Find 'em and fire 'em. Find them? This is my wife, by the way. Find them. Find them, like find them money for their mistake. That's just me and her now. You guys talk amongst yourselves. Find them or fire them. Basically, it was like a 3 strikes and you're out system. He thought he'd invented it. Was that, you know, if you made a mistake, he would fine you about 25 cents, and the 3 times you got fined, then you got fired. So I managed to skate around from that. But this isn't really a story about one job, it's about taking any job you can get. So I did that for a while. Then I worked for my uncle, which I thought was a really amazing job. My uncle was the groundskeeper at a convent that was a very expensive girls' finishing school. This is where girls from the age of about 13 to 18 went to school as a boarding school. And I thought this was the business. Because I was also in that age group, and I liked girls. It didn't work out so well. I did a lot of grass cutting and a lot of weeding, but I never saw any action. And the next job I had was selling Christmas trees, which is a bit like Gretchen's story about selling fireworks. When you come into contact with the public in that way, in a cash business, it's really quite extraordinary. So I'm still, you know, thinking about the Clash and career opportunities, and I'm going to work for this guy who's selling Christmas trees, and he was like a stand-up comedian, so working for him was hilarious. The best one really was when a couple came, parked their car, walked up to the Christmas trees, and I say, well, like, how big would you like this tree to be? And she said, about 4 feet tall. So I picked out a tree that was about 4 feet tall, and I stood it up, you know, so you get a good look, twirl it around. And she said, no, it's got to touch the ceiling. I mean, I know the ceilings are low in England if you've ever been, but that was ridiculous. Then I figured out as I was coming over here this evening that that I've worked for about 35 years and I've had about 35 jobs. I've just told you about the first, I don't know, like 3. But the best job of all that I got was the job that brought me to America, because if I hadn't got that job, I never would have been here, and then I never would have got the next job that ended me up in Washington, D.C., where I met my wife in a bar one night in 1989, and we've been married for 22 years. Thank you.